This is a recap for Monday, November 16th. What we did today was introduce multiplying and dividing integers. A little bit later in the week, we're going to work on exponents. We started with this picture of Mickey to talk about the idea of multiplying or dividing two negatives, and the answer is positive. Or if we multiply a positive with a negative, then the answer is negative. Or if we divide a positive with a negative, the answer is negative. We then watched a video, called Multiplying Positive and Negative Numbers Made Easy. It's put on by PBS. It's very cheesy, very silly, but also has some very strong mathematical ideas within it. So if you're watching this video and you're doing the recap, you might want to go to Pear Deck on the Tuesday quiz for week 9 and go to the second slide and watch that video. It's about 6 or 7 minutes long.
Ever notice how indie movies seem to do weird?
And then what we did next was talk about what you're going to do on slide 3 of Pear Deck. So I'm going to pull out my tools to write on the top here. And so we talked about when you learn to add way back in elementary school, then that transition, we talked about the transition to multiplication, which ends up being a shortcut. So let me go with a kind of a blue color with my pen here. And, well, actually, no, I'm going to change it back to yellow. There we go. Okay, so 5 times 3 is really 5 added together 3 times. So there's one group of 5 right there. And here's another group of 5. So if the blues dots represent positive 1, there's 3 groups of 5. So really this 5 times 3 is 5 plus 5 plus 5, and that's equal to 15. Then if we think about the negatives, then this can become 3 groups of negative 5. So here's one group of negative 5. And here's another group, a second group of negative 5. And a third group. So we have 15 negatives altogether. So that's like negative 5 plus a negative 5 plus a negative 5, which if in the earlier in the year, what we did for this was we drew a circle. There's a negative. There's some more negative. There's some more negative. So if we put this all together, we'd have this big amount of negative. Nothing is being canceled out here. We're just getting more and more negative. So that's where we would get that negative 15. But now as we take this shortcut of multiplication, it's going to look a little different, and we have to be very careful. So I'm going to erase this picture. And as we write negative 5 times 3, I want you to notice that we can't really think of that 3 as part of the picture. We couldn't make it a positive circle that was taking away some of the negative. It's a counter. It counts how many of these. So what we did was when you go to Pear Deck, you're going to make a 4x2 and a negative 4x2 looking just like this, trying to even use the same colors if you can. So I'm going to use a blue, and I'm going to make 4 times 2, and that's going to be 2 rows of 4. So there's one row of 4, and there's another row of 4. So this is 4 times 2, which is 2 rows of 4. And now I'm going to switch to red and make 2 rows of -4. There's 1 row of -4. There's a second row of -4. So this is -4 put into 2 rows. And that's equal to, you can see, 8 negatives. This triangle was in the video, and this is how you use it. Miss Giggy actually showed how she uses it. So if we do, let's say, a -5 times 3, we would put one finger on this for the -5, and maybe your thumb on this for the 3, and the one that hasn't been covered up is the answer, or the sign of the answer. It's negative. So that's -15. So we can separate out the sign from the answer itself. So this would be -5 times 3 is -15. -15. And let's try another one. -10 times a -3. So the -10 might go right here, your thumb right there, your finger right here for the -3, and then this is the remaining one, so that goes in the answer. So it's a plus. 3 times 10 times 3 is 30. So what you're going to do is do 5 multiplication problems that you make up and answer. And I want you to be thinking about this. You don't have to write on this. When you do this, you can just put the problems there. So let's switch over to division, see how it works. If I had, let's say, 30 divided by -5, I put the 30 right here, and then -5 right here because it's negative, and then the answer would be negative. So this tells me the remaining part of the triangle tells me if the answer is going to be positive or negative, and then I just do 30 divided by 5 is 6, so the answer is going to be -6. And then just continue making 5 more, or 5 altogether. This chart is a multiplication chart, and you don't have to fill it out. What I'd like you to do is put where the answer is going to be positive and where it's going to be negative. So this is 5 times -3 is going to be negative. 5 times -2, negative. 5 times -1, negative. 4 times -3, negative. So these are all negative. 5 times 1 is positive. Again, I don't have to put the 5 there. These are all going to be positive. It's a positive number times a positive number. We always get a positive answer. And this is -1 times -3. That's a positive answer. -1 times -2, positive. So you fill these out with positive. And -1 times 1 is negative. -1 times 2 is negative. So these are all negative. So on the next page, the next slide, you're going to do it in more of a group. You're going to recognize that there's a whole area. So I'm going to pull out, let's see, a red rectangle, and I'm going to put that red rectangle. Let me close this so it's out of the way. And the red rectangle is going to go where the answers are going to be negative. There's going to be right here. Whoops. Back here and get my tool. And we're going to get red. Kind of test that out. And let's see if I still have my, there we go. Oops, don't have the right tool there. Let's see if I can get this to work. So you're going to put a red rectangle. There we go. Right here. And think about where else the answers are going to be negative. Negative 10 times 1. So right here. And I didn't really mean to cover the 0, so I'm going to pull this back out, get my eraser, and we'll erase that 0 part of that. And then I'm going to change to positive, so we'll do green. So green is going to be positive, and I'm still going to have a rectangle to fill in here. So positive numbers times positive numbers will give me positive answers. And negative numbers times negative numbers will give me positive answers. So negative times a negative. All of these products are positive. All of these products are positive. All these products are negative. All these products are negative. And 0 we say is not positive or negative. Neutral. And then this is a graphic that helps some people, but it might not help you. So in Pear Deck, what I want you to do is give it a plus, a check, or a minus. So give it a rating, not like Yelp. And so if we have two positive numbers that we multiply together, then it's positive. Two negatives, like the sleepy guy, but he's smiling, or she, that's positive. If we have one negative, it kind of looks like a black eye, is how I think of it, and that's sad, so it's negative. And it doesn't matter which one is negative. If one is negative, the other one's positive, it ends up looking sad. So that might be useful for you. Don't use it if it's not useful. And then finally, we have a matching activity. So I'm going to demonstrate this. Let me see, I'll just use blue pen here. So you go left to right. Whoopsie, grab the pen. Make sure we're in pen. Okay, so you go left to right as you're working on this. So negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. Negative 20 times a negative 2 is positive 40. A negative times a negative is positive. 20 times 2 is 40. So I connect it right there with the 40. 48 divided by 4. I know the answer is going to be negative because I have this one negative right here. 48 divided by 4 is 12. And I look for the negative 12, and there it is right there. Negative 2 times negative 4 is 8. 8 times negative 6 is negative 48. 4 times negative 9 is negative 36. Negative 36 divided by negative 3, the answer is going to be positive. 36 divided by 3 is 12. So that one connects right there. So that's a matching activity for you to do. And then the next card is very similar, just going the other direction. So the problems are on the left and the answers are mixed up on the right. So we're going to continue this week working with multiplying and dividing integers. And that is a recap for Monday, November 16th.